Welcome everyone to the APAC Forum, one more session of this group. So my name is Thiago Rodrigues. I'm the CEO of the Wireless Broadband Alliance. Glad to be with all of you today. Asia Pacific region is very relevant for the WBI. Just for you that probably are not so familiar with the organization. In fact, WBA was founded by five operators from the Asia Pacific region, representing South Korea, Malaysia, China, Singapore, Australia. They were the founders of this organization. So we always had a very strong um, heritage and collaboration with the Asia Pacific region companies and members. Without further delays, the session today is a webinar. We want to take the opportunity to present you some of the latest developments in the WBA. And at the same time, we have a guest that is coming from the Broadband India Forum. So Arun Mukherjee, Senior Director of Operations, and he's going to share with all of you the good work that is happening in India on the program for PM WANI to provide public Wi-Fi guest access across different locations. So the agenda that we prepare for today, apart from me, we'll have as well my colleague Steve Nam, our VP for Industry Engagement in the WBI. Then we need to do a swap here on the agenda, and we'll have Arun from Broadband India Forum presenting the case for PM WANI. And then to finish the webinar, we'll have Bruno Tomás, the CTO for WBI, to present the latest roadmap of projects and programs of the Alliance. And then at the end, we'll leave a few minutes for any questions and answers that any of you may have, and we'll be more than happy to answer to any questions, comments that you may have. I just want to spend 5 minutes introducing the organization. So for those of you that are not so familiar with the Wireless Broadband Alliance, WBA as we like to call it, our vision is to bring these seamless, secure, and interoperable experiences to different wireless technologies. We, as many other organizations, we have a series of working groups where we try to develop technical programs and as well market adoption of different technologies. We have as well a series of forums, including this APAC forum, but we have as well the Connected Communities Forum, the CTO Innovation Forum, the Enterprise Connectivity Forum, and as well we have been strong advocates for the World Wi-Fi Day, and we have been driving those initiatives. So WBI, we try to connect the different players of the wireless and Wi-Fi ecosystem. We try to bring that vision of enabling secure and seamless experiences. We want as well develop interoperability between different technologies. So all of us as consumers, we don't only use Wi-Fi on a daily basis, but we use 5G, 4G, Bluetooth, and many other wireless technologies. So important that they all work together in an appropriate way. And as well, we want to maximize commercial and business opportunities for all the members and our partners. And as well, as part of our work, we try as much as possible to drive initiatives to bridge the digital divide and connect as many people as possible around the world. WBA has been established back in 2003, as I said, founded by five operators from Asia Pacific region. Today we have more than 230 members. We run a series of programs and projects. We run our own events. We have 3 annual events. As part of our work as well, we do a lot of promotion and go-to-market initiatives. And as well, we do some research for the industry. Just for you to have an idea of the membership. So it's a mix of different players, including large carriers or operators, companies like, for example, Geo or Turk Telecom, Deutsche Telekom, AT&T, but as well chipset manufacturers like Intel or Qualcomm, device manufacturers like Apple, Dell, Huawei, and others. And then infrastructure providers like HPE, Cisco, Nokia, and others. And then we have as well a few enterprises, companies like Ford, Inditex, Itaú Bank, Home Depot, and many others enterprises as members of the organization. Without entering in much details, because my colleague Bruno, the CTO of WBI, will cover these details of our roadmap of programs. So, like many other organizations, we have a series of work groups. We have 7 work groups happening on a regular basis. Each work group, they have a series of projects that, as you can see, it varies from topics like convergence of Wi-Fi and 5G to IoT to next generation of Wi-Fi. Open roaming and Wi-Fi roaming is a big topic for the Alliance. We have as well a policy and regulatory affairs group, and as well a testing and interoperability work group. And we cover topics so different as Wi-Fi 7, Wi-Fi 8, QoS over Wi-Fi, AI/ML for Wi-Fi, and many other initiatives that my colleague Bruno will detail. And my last slide is just about events. We just came back from our Wireless Global Congress Americas that took place back in May in Dallas. And my colleague Steve will provide more information about that. And our next event is happening in October in Europe, in Vienna, on the week of October 12 to 15. And then our next event in Asia Pacific region is going to happen in the Q1 2027. It's going to happen in Japan, in Tokyo, as a partnership with the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and it's going to happen from the 26th to the 28th of January. And if you are interested in any of these events upcoming, either Vienna or Tokyo, feel free to go to our website. You can register and you can participate on these events. And with this, once more, I want to thank you for joining us on this APAC forum, and I will hand over to my colleague Steve for the next topic on the agenda. So thank you, and over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Tiago. Let me just grab the screen here. Okay, perfect. Yep. So as Tiago says, I'm just going to take a little bit of time just to provide an overview of our recent Congress in Dallas. So our Wireless Global Congress in Dallas took place 18th to the 21st of May. The theme for the Congress was Wi-Fi innovation, connecting our digital world. So this is our flagship event in the Americas. There are around 500 people that come to the event every year. We're very pleased to host it. We have members, non-members. It's a combination of our conference, our members' working sessions, where a lot of the technical projects that the WBA is running gets discussed. We also run an innovation forum, a communities forum, and an enterprise connectivity forum. Really, the idea is to bring together a strong group of industry professionals and veterans to collaborate. We're talking through with operators, enterprises, vendors, and public sectors as well. Okay, so just building on that and who attended. So you'll see a lot of operators, all types, satellite, fixed, mobile, cable, a lot of organizations from enterprises. We have governments and city representatives, obviously technology vendors, chipset manufacturers, as well as regulators and alliance bodies as well. And just an example of some of the organizations, obviously in the United States, I talked about operators, organizations such as AT&T, Charter, Comcast. It is a global Congress, so people are traveling from Asia, from Europe, from Latin America as well. So you'll see organizations such as Asia RF, BT, for example, that were there as well. Okay. Just taking a little bit of time to talk about some of the, I guess, the sort of key industry discussion topics. But we talked a lot about enterprise Wi-Fi and the transformation that it's going through, network security, what's happening in hospitality and retail, and in venue connectivity as far as the user experience is concerned, identity and policy management as well, and automation of network operations. We're starting to lean a bit into AI. On that topic specifically in AI, we're talking about network operations, machine learning for Wi-Fi optimization, how organizations can run their networks more efficiently, as well as autonomously, and what some of those architectures will look like in the future as well in the AI world. Obviously, with Wi-Fi, we have to talk about next generation Wi-Fi. So we're seeing reality on the ground in terms of over the last 2 years, Wi-Fi 7 being deployed, multi-link operation, so leveraging all three bands, 6 GHz, the expansion of open roaming, which I'm pleased to say is happening very aggressively now, and then Wi-Fi Halo for IoT. Um, we also talked about connecting communities. So across the United States, this is a hot topic. But also, as we know, and we'll have Aaron talking about this later, everywhere as well. So smart city deployments, public Wi-Fi, programs for digital inclusion, also how Wi-Fi is being leveraged for mission critical communications as well as community broadband. So from a sort of overall industry perspective, strong focus on security, automation, real world deployments, standards developments, and interoperability and certification as well. Okay. Um, so just picking out some of the strong themes, I think it's important to know that AI is becoming real. It's becoming mainstream. So we've been tracking this ourselves. We've had an AI program for 2 years in the WBA, and we are seeing deployments on the ground. We're talking about AI ops as well as AI network automation. Um, Enterprise Wi-Fi obviously has become a strong area, particularly in these sectors. We had the largest bank from Brazil, Itaú, giving a presentation on what they're doing as far as Wi-Fi is concerned and their deployment of open roaming. Wi-Fi 7 is adoption is accelerating as well. Open systems standards such as open roaming is becoming more mainstream. And then connecting communities is becoming a big topic. Again, we're going to have Aaron talk about this topic. I was recently in India, and this is a very strong theme where we still see many hundreds of millions of people around the globe that do not have are not online as well. Okay. So just the overall message. So I think it was a great congress. I believed it reinforced that Wi-Fi ecosystem is transitioning from just from connectivity to being a more AI-enabled, secure, automated digital infrastructure, supporting enterprises, operators, and cities and communities globally as well. This only happens with collaboration between operators, technology vendors, enterprises, standard bodies as well, to accelerate the adoption and put these technologies in market as well. We also have to make these events happen. We're reliant on our members being there, but also on sponsors. So I'm just showing you here some of the organizations that sponsors. If there's any interest from any of you here today, feel free to contact us on our website. Tiago showed you the schedule. I'm just showing you our schedule for this year, and I'll then show you the schedule for next year as well. So we have our 3 events, Tokyo, Dallas, and then the final one for the year will be in Vienna from the 12th to the 15th. If you are interested in being there and participating, that would be great. If you are interested in speaking, sponsoring, or exhibiting, please contact us here. We have an email that I'm showing, and you can find it on our website as well. And then this is the schedule for next year. So we will do a repeat. So we will be in Japan at the end of January, Dallas in May, and Vienna slightly earlier in October as well. Would love to see you there. Would love to meet with you and talk about collaboration opportunities as well. Okay. So with that said, I will draw my part of the presentation to the end, and I will ask Aaron Mukherjee to come to the fore and talk about broadband in India. So Aaron, over to you.
Thank you, Steve. So first of all, thanks so much to Tiago and Steve and Bruno and the WBA for allowing us to present over here, inviting us to present on our paper, which we had come out on PM WANI recently. BIF or Broadband India Forum is really a policy think tank in the TMT space. And we are really technology agnostic or neutral, we could say. We don't just concentrate on Wi-Fi. Let me be clear about this. We look at the mobile, fiber, SATCOM, Wi-Fi, Li-Fi, FSOC, any technology that is good for connectivity for the consumer. So this is what we do and we deal with the government and the regulator and try to improve or help the government in coming out with better policy. So to come back to the program, it's my privilege today to present Broadband India Forum's white paper on PM WANI, the name of which is the Foundation for India's Digital Public Infrastructure. So it explores whether PM WANI can become the next foundational layer of India's digital public infrastructure. It's a layer we're hoping that democratizes broadband access itself. The white paper is not merely about Wi-Fi hotspots. It's about how India can create a scalable, inclusive, and interoperable broadband access systems. So let me explain to you. Oh, let me bring my, sorry, I haven't shared my slides. One moment, please. Okay. Can you see my slides? Is my slide visible?
Yes, it is. Yep. Oh, perfect.
Yep. Okay, great. So this was the, it's not changing. Okay. So this is what PM WANI or the Wireless Access Network Interface is. To basically, the PM WANI establishes a framework through which multiple independent participants can collectively create a nationwide broadband access system. So when we look at it, the central registry establishes trust across the ecosystem. It's maintained by the Center for Development of Telematics, and this repository holds the identities and details of all the registered app providers, PDOAs, and the PDOs. The app provider himself is an end user which interacts with this layer through mobile apps. Users can discover PM WANI compliant Wi-Fi hotspots, register, authenticate, and manage short duration data plans. PDO aggregators, they support the PDOs as an aggregation layer with authentication, customer management, and other platform services. The aggregators also serve as a bridge between the PDOs and the app providers managing billing and secure access. And the public data offices or PDOs provide Wi-Fi access to the end users. They're installed by small shopkeepers or local entrepreneurs. These access points provide the last mile connectivity to end users and connect using standard local broadband. So this architecture allows participation by a wide range of stakeholders from neighborhood businesses to educational institutions, enterprises, and public organizations. Most importantly, PM WANI is designed to encourage scale through participation rather than centralized ownership. Shown also in the slide is a proposed super or national PDOA, which we will be discussing in a future slide a little further on. And the white paper argues that this open architecture provides the foundation for transforming public Wi-Fi into an integral component of India's digital public infrastructure. So, we look at PM WANI as the slide says, as India's next digital public infrastructure opportunity. When we examine India's digital transformation journey, we see a common pattern. In India, we have repeatedly created open interoperable platforms that allow innovation to flourish on top of shared infrastructure. The Aadhaar, which was started in the year 2009, and in English, Aadhaar means foundation in itself, created a trusted digital identity layer. The Aadhaar system serves as the foundational database for all digital identities, financial services, and public benefits in India. UPI, or the Unified Payments Interface, started in 2016, created interoperable payments. The ONDC, or the Open Network for Digital Commerce, started in 2022, is creating an open network for digital commerce. So Aadhaar is a unique identification number issued to Indian residents, and it serves as a permanent proof of identity and address for services like banking, subsidies, and telecom. Over 99% of India's adult population holds an Aadhaar card. With over 1.4 billion active Aadhaar numbers issued, it serves as the world's biggest biometric identification system. UPI processes an average of 757 million transactions daily, corresponding to a daily transaction value of approximately 11.5 billion USD. So this massive scale accounts for nearly half of all real-time digital payment volumes globally. ONDC, or the Open Network for Digital Commerce, is applying similar principles to digital commerce by enabling interoperability between buyers and sellers across multiple platforms. So each of these initiatives demonstrates the power of open architecture, interoperability, and ecosystem participation. The question before us today is whether India can create a similar interoperable framework for broadband access. PM WANI provides the foundations for precisely such a possibility. The white paper explores whether India can now build the next foundational layer of digital public infrastructure, not for identity or payments, but for broadband access itself. This is an important distinction. The white paper is not simply about deploying more Wi-Fi hotspots. It is about creating an open, scalable, and interoperable broadband access ecosystem that complements existing mobile and fixed broadband infrastructure, improves digital inclusion, and maximizes the utilization of India's existing investments in broadband infrastructure. That is the broader vision that underpins PM WANI. But before PM WANI, we must understand the gap it seeks to address. India's mobile broadband success story is extraordinary. We have some of the world's lowest mobile data tariffs and one of the largest mobile broadband ecosystems anywhere. Yet, India remains overwhelmingly a mobile-first nation. To give you an idea, we have 1.3 billion active mobile users, whereas fixed line density is only 48.58 million users. Thanks to a massive 4G and 5G subscriber base, the popularity of high-definition video streaming, and widespread AI application downloads, the average user monthly data usage is about 36 GB, well ahead of the global average of 21 GB. India ranks number 1 globally in average mobile data usage per subscriber and ranks number 2 globally in total overall internet users, trailing only China. The average cost of 1 GB of mobile data in India is roughly rupees 10, approximately, say, 12 to 16 cents in American currency, placing India number 7 globally amongst the cheapest countries for mobile internet. However, India's nominal GDP per capita is estimated at 2,813 USD. This places the country in the lower middle income category, ranking about 149th globally in nominal terms. So not all Indians can afford the mobile packages retail today. While many citizens access the internet exclusively through smartphones, fixed broadband penetration remains relatively limited. Shared broadband access remains underdeveloped. Most mature economies are built on 3 complementary layers: mobile broadband, fixed broadband, and Wi-Fi. India has built the first layer exceptionally well. The opportunity now lies in strengthening the fixed and shared broadband access layers. That is the role of public Wi-Fi can play. The encouraging news is that PM WANI ecosystem has already demonstrated that the model works. So PM WANI is transitioning from policy vision to national broadband infrastructure. One of the most encouraging findings of the white paper is that PM WANI has moved well beyond a policy concept. Today, we have more than 4 lakh PM WANI hotspots which have been deployed across the country. Over 24 million users have accessed the broadband services through the platform, consuming more than 58 petabytes of data. These numbers tell us something important. The debate is no longer whether PM WANI can work. The architecture has been validated. The challenge is no longer proof of concept. The challenge is scale. However, these figures should not be viewed as the destination. Rather, they represent the foundation upon which a much larger broadband access ecosystem can be built. The real breakthrough came through the reforms introduced by the Department of Telecommunications and TRAI, our regulator, during 2024 and 2025. These reforms addressed one of the biggest barriers facing PM WANI, economics, and the commercial viability of public Wi-Fi. So permission to use retail FTTH connections, hotspot aggregation, roaming enablement, and tariff rationalization have significantly improved the viability of PM WANI. The significance of these reforms being a game changer is that they transform PM WANI from a policy experiment into a commercially scalable broadband platform, which brings us to perhaps the most important strategic opportunity. So, in India, we have what is called BharatNet, or our optic fiber cable network, which is spreading through the remote areas. And if we look at it, as we say, BharatNet is the government of India's flagship rural broadband project. And if we look at combining BharatNet and PM WANI, we get last mile broadband inclusion. So, India has already invested enormously in broadband infrastructure through BharatNet. And BharatNet has extended fiber connectivity deep into India's villages and institutions to thousands of gram panchayats. Gram panchayats are we could call it an equivalent of a commune in Europe, and has laid the foundation for rural digital connectivity. But fiber reaching a gram panchayat does not automatically mean broadband reaches citizens. It's only the beginning of the connectivity journey. The real objective is ensuring that broadband services actually reach citizens, schools, health centers, markets, public institutions, and surrounding communities. This is where PM WANI becomes highly relevant. BharatNet and PM WANI should not be viewed as separate initiatives, we feel. They solve different parts of the same challenge. BharatNet solves the supply problem. PM WANI solves the access problem. In simple terms, BharatNet creates reach, and PM WANI creates usage. Together, they create digital inclusion. This is perhaps the most compelling opportunity identified in the white paper. The white paper makes the case that BharatNet and PM WANI are complementary initiatives that should be deployed in an integrated manner to maximize the utilization of BharatNet infrastructure while extending affordable last mile connectivity. However, infrastructure alone will not be sufficient. So PM WANI's next challenge is not deployment, it is user experience. Ultimately, citizens judge a broadband service not by its architecture, but by the quality of their experience. Today, users often face multiple apps, multiple logins, multiple wallets, and fragmented access experiences. This creates unnecessary friction. In effect, PM WANI behaves as a collection of disconnected islands. The next stage of PM WANI's evolution must therefore focus on making public Wi-Fi as simple and seamless to use as mobile broadband. For PM WANI to achieve national scale, it must evolve from isolated hotspots into a seamless network experience. History has repeatedly shown that technologies achieve widespread adoption when complexity disappears from the user's perspective. The lesson from mobile telephony is clear. Users should simply connect. Networks scale when users experience continuity rather than fragmentation. And this leads to what might be another very important recommendation of the white paper, the UPI movement for public Wi-Fi. So here, the UPI did not succeed because the National Payments Corporation of India became a bank. UPI succeeded because the NPCI enabled interoperability among competing participants. One of the most important ideas presented in the white paper is inspired by India's experience with digital payments. Before UPI, digital payments were fragmented. Banks existed. Payment applications existed. Customers had bank accounts. What was missing was interoperability. UPI did not replace banks. Instead, it created a neutral framework that allowed competing institutions to interoperate seamlessly while continuing to compete in delivering services. The white paper suggests that public Wi-Fi can evolve in a similar way. It proposes the development of a neutral, non-partisan interoperability layer. This is the proposed super or national PDOA mentioned in the first slide, if you remember. Such a layer would not operate hotspots. It would not compete with PDOAs or service providers. Its role would simply be to facilitate discovery, authentication, roaming, settlement, and interoperability across the ecosystem. Just as UPI transformed fragmented payment systems into a seamless national experience, a similar approach could transform PM WANI from a collection of disconnected networks into a unified broadband access platform. The objective is not centralization. The objective is interoperability. Just as UPI transformed fragmented payment systems into one interoperable ecosystem, a similar approach has the potential to transform PM WANI from thousands of isolated deployments into a truly unified broadband access platform. This, we believe, represents the major next step in India's public Wi-Fi journey. Looking ahead, the opportunity becomes even larger. So the future of PM WANI extends well beyond hotspot deployment. The recent delicensing of the 6 gigahertz band provides the spectrum foundation for next generation Wi-Fi. India's 800 plus ISPs represent a significant opportunity for rapid expansion through the ISP as a PDOA model. Institutions such as schools, hospitals, transport hubs, and public facilities can become anchor points for connectivity. Future-ready buildings and campuses can integrate public Wi-Fi infrastructure by design. Most importantly, public Wi-Fi can support shared broadband access and digital inclusion for millions of citizens. Taken together, these developments point towards a future where public Wi-Fi becomes a national broadband access platform. To guide this journey, we must also rethink how success is measured. So for too long, discussions around public Wi-Fi have focused primarily on hotspot counts. The white paper argues that success should increasingly be measured through outcomes rather than infrastructure alone. Metrics such as active users, data consumption, utilization rates, and hotspot density provide a more meaningful picture of impact. The famous management guru Peter Drucker's quote is well applicable here. You can't improve what you don't measure. So ultimately, broadband infrastructure exists to enable usage, not merely deployment. And here, allow me to conclude. The white paper reaches 5 key conclusions. First, PM WANI is not competing with mobile broadband, it complements it. Second, PM WANI extends the reach and utilization of BharatNet and fixed broadband infrastructure. Third, recent reforms have materially improved the economics of deployment. Fourth, interoperability and seamless user experience represent the next frontier of growth. And finally, India has successfully built digital public infrastructure for identity and payments. The opportunity before us is to build digital public infrastructure for broadband access. PM WANI provides the foundation for that vision. India has built digital public infrastructure for identity and payments. PM WANI offers the opportunity to build digital public infrastructure for broadband access. So thank you with that, and we leave you with the all-important fact and reminder. India's national 6G vision envisions 50 million Wi-Fi hotspots by 2030. This is something which we really need to target and take forward. So I say thank you, and I look forward to any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. Great presentation. I have my copy of the white paper here from being in India 3 weeks ago. It's a great read. I would urge everybody to go and get it from the BIF website. It's also hosted on the WBA website as well. A few questions I have. So the first one I have regarding the white paper. So it recommends a neutral interoperability layer. similar to the UPI banking system. So what role could an organization like the WBA play in that ecosystem?
Well, if we look at it, Steve, WBA has global expertise in interoperability, roaming, and seamless Wi-Fi. We already have our policy framework in place. The next stage is making connectivity effortless for users, and technologies such as open roaming, passpoint, federated authentication, secure identity management. It can significantly improve user experience, and BIF believes WBA can be an important technical partner in helping India develop globally interoperable public Wi-Fi networks. So this creates an opportunity for collaboration between government and industry and international standards organization. Ultimately, PM WANI is not just about deploying Wi-Fi hotspots. It is about creating trusted digital infrastructure. So we feel, yes, WBA and India can work together.
Okay, thank you. And just regarding PM WANI today, and I think you touched on this, but what do you see as the single biggest challenge facing PM WANI?
So I don't really believe there is one single challenge. It faces a set of interconnected challenges, rather each reinforcing the other. Focusing on any one of them is in isolation. It risks missing the bigger picture. So for one, we really need the user experience to become frictionless and seamless. But I believe the greatest strategic challenge for PM WANI is that it's widely perceived as just another public Wi-Fi program. What we need is I've been talking about is to get it to be accepted as a digital public infrastructure. And once that happens, policy priorities, investment decisions, industry participation, and public expectations begin to change. And well, once that changes, then you will get people coming in and it will start to grow really. So PM WANI, its success will depend less on the technology which is already available, but more on aligning policy, commercial incentives, user experience, and ecosystem collaboration around a shared vision. So the challenge is not technological, it's more transformational, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And another question, we've had a few come through, but I guess could PM WANI be replicated in other countries, particularly in developing markets as well?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Each country will have its own regulatory framework. So, but however, the underlying principles of PM WANI are universally applicable. It has open architecture. It's decentralized deployment. It has interoperability, and it encourages entrepreneurship, which we have seen in India. So PM WANI demonstrates how broadband access can be expanded without requiring every hotspot to be owned by the government or by telecom operators. And many emerging economies must be facing similar challenges. We just believe that PM WANI offers valuable lessons that could be adapted internationally rather than copied exactly. I mean, I wouldn't expect PM WANI to shift as it is, but I'm sure there could be lots of lessons to be learned from it.
Okay. You're getting some good questions coming through here. One regarding 5G and PM WANI and whether they should interoperate to create a robust network of public hotspots that share data using high-speed cellular bandwidth, where 5G as the backbone, which allows citizens to connect seamlessly to the internet. If you agree, what could be done to enable this as well? But I think just to summarize, do you see 5G and PM WANI becoming more interoperable for a single network of public hotspots as well?
I think it's very much possible. We've had a little bit of friction between the telcos and the Wi-Fi networks, but I think for mobile data offload, as I mentioned, we've got one of the highest data usages in India, and mobile data offload could become one of the things that PM WANI could really help in. And as far as Wi-Fi goes, now that we've got the 6 gigahertz band, it's very much in sync with the speeds that 5G is offering too.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Aaron. I think we should bring this section of the agenda to the close because we need to talk to switch to Bruno to just talk about the technical roadmap as well. But again,
Thank
thank
you.
you for your support today, and look forward
Thank you,
to
Steve.
catching up
Thank
with
you,
you
Taylor.
sometime soon. So, okay, good. Yeah, so I think without further ado, I can invite Bruno Thomas, our CTO from the WBA, to come forward and present on the technical roadmaps. Bruno, over to you.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you so much. And I'm glad to see, PM WANI reaching new heights. We started long
Can I just do
ago.
an audio test, Bruno? You're getting a bit of a bit of echo.
Okay. So let me just make sure. Is it better, Steve?
No, there's still a bit of a repercussion going on somewhere. Let me just
Okay. So let me just see. Okay. Let's see if now it's better.
That's
Okay.
good.
Good. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, let's carry on. And my pleasure to be here and talk about the progress on WBA technical roadmap and how it impacts the Asia region. So allow me just to share a few slides with all of you. It's been a set of busy 6 months on this 2024. So given we are addressing the APAC region, we just prepared a set of updates that we believe could kind of highlight where we believe the industry is going with the various wireless technologies and trends. And starting with open roaming, we have seen high-profile deployments all over the world, especially in Asia. We are very happy that in Japan, pretty much the country is kind of embracing the technology, but we are fast seeing other regions such as Australia or even the Philippines starting to ramp up and make it something that can be valuable and hopefully also address some of the considerations we were discussing regarding PM1. And in fact, there are working groups in the WBA trying to understand how open roaming framework and PM1 could interwork together. Also, Wi-Fi 7. This was a series of trials we did to prove some of the more advanced features of the technology, such as the multi-link operation. At the same time, we have seen announcements coming out of Taiwan on Wi-Fi 8 equipment and chipsets becoming available. So that's a project we are going to start very soon. Then, if I think about Asia region, and let's take the example of Singapore and the carrier offload and the programs we had for the automatic authentication of the SIM cards onto a single Wi-Fi network, eventually it became about QoS. And there was a question about 5G and PM1, right? Can 5G be integrated and complementary? So that's all about giving assurance to the mobile carriers. If I go out of my cellular and I connect Wi-Fi, that works better, right? So this project is all about real-time QoS. And we have some good news with IETF endorsing WBA work and becoming part of an RFC, so officially standardized. Then security. We learned a lot doing our events in Asia. We just came out of Tokyo, but we did Thailand, we did Singapore, and there are some very special considerations when it comes to Wi-Fi security. So we launched our new Wi-Fi security guidelines and FAQ, and now we are working on post-quantum cybersecurity and RICS security as well. Then for residential, one area that Wi-Fi generations really cater fast. We now have an operator-managed Wi-Fi architecture that we invite all the operators in the region to endorse and also baseline the roadmaps against. We are also working on MDU, which is another blossoming area when it comes to managing centrally some of the wireless services and networks. We kicked off our 6G work, and this means we are coming up with requirements on how Wi-Fi and 6G can be more tightly integrated with a rationale on KPACs as well. So we are going to deliver some of these requirements to 3GPP. So again, very important that based on the fast development of the vision for 6G in the region, you also engage and join this working group. Then mission critical and emergency services. This is an untapped area. Up until this point, most of the public Wi-Fi networks and even enterprise were not catering to these needs, right? So whenever there is a catastrophe, imagine, for instance, we discussed this in our working sessions in Q1 in Japan. So if there is a way for us to provide more connectivity when everything else goes down, right? This is about complementarity. If there is a wireless network that can send, an emergency voice call or receive a public warning message, it's better than no connectivity. So this is what the group is trying to do, working with regulators. So in the region, in APAC, if there is work on this area, we are very happy to engage with regulators and also regional organizations. So if there is a safety association in the region that would like to get involved, that would be very, very positive to expand the scope of this project. And last but not least, AI and the quality of experience and more end-to-end perspectives. It's something we are catering here in the WBA. So we are doing end-to-end Wi-Fi QoS. For instance, looking at the pipes end-to-end, not only device and local network to AP to device, but also going all the way to the backend servers. Imagine Netflix servers, right? How can we better manage the pipes between these content delivery networks, which accounts, for instance, in Korea, we just saw the numbers where media and cloud gaming accounts for the vast majority, the percentage of internet traffic in the country. So this is why it's so important. But yeah, 8 quick updates, lots going on. So let me just share with you some of the most recent deliverables that you can consult, either on the WB Extranet for members, or after a period of time, some of them also become publicly available with the objective of getting your inputs, because they all have new phases. So first, Wi-Fi 7. We have 2 deliverables that come out after our Tokyo working sessions. One is about residential, the other enterprise. So the idea was, okay, so if I now have 6 gigahertz bands available and I want to do aggregation of the layers, right, to augment my physical throughput and also the management between the different channels, do I really get an advantage? And this was quite controversial in the industry, but these kind of organized trials prove that yes, you get at least 100% plus improvements when you add MLO to an existing Wi-Fi 7 deployment, right? So really something you should look into. If you already invested on Wi-Fi 7, explore the MLO feature. Most of the vendors are now fine-tuning it, and also based on these trials, we are happy always to augment them. Then Wi-Fi Halo, yeah, especially in Asia and in Japan. This is a IoT flavor of Wi-Fi. It's the same, set of IEEE technology, so it's understandable by the IT teams. And it was very interesting that it was possible to cover, for instance, mile range connectivity for things like surveillance, right? We did grape farms in Japan, MDU, an enterprise with water management system. So I think this is a technology that can really make an impact and complement other use cases. And this report shows you how basically you can deploy it, what are the results. So if you worried about Halo and want really to know how it's operating in the real world, this new Japan field trials report will be quite useful. Then the Wi-Fi security guidelines and general audience FAQ. We try to have a twofold approach. One that is more about, okay, let's baseline, how do we respond to, Wi-Fi security needs to evolve. So this paper talks about the new things that came and solve the problems we had in the industry. And also an FAQ that you can share with, for instance, non-ICT organizations. I'm thinking enterprises, like retail. So this really helps kind of raising the confidence on Wi-Fi. Then also WBA evolved our scope of work. We also have some private 5G working group. And this deliverable was about enterprise security. So again, exploring a new set of domains where, again, an IT manager or a CIO that has both technologies in their portfolio, it can basically configure and think on a converged architecture for private 5G when he already has Wi-Fi, what are the synergies, what are the gaps, and what he can do further. Then pass point feature and profile format. So this is one where we believe can really even augment further the ability and the time to market to build this pass point deployment framework that I call most of the times the equivalent of the SIM card on Wi-Fi, right? So you just install a profile and you are good to go. And finally, also these two deliverables. One is about monetization. And, especially in the region, I believe the captive portal is naturally useful for some use cases that are still in practice, but there are ways you can leverage other mechanisms to monetize your Wi-Fi network, right? So there is the offload, there is some advertising, of course, using open roaming, there is some partnerships that can be put forward. So you will see that value-added services, analytics, are emerging opportunities across these different verticals. And then last but not least, the WBA and FIDO Alliance open roaming for IoT. So the vision is IoT has always been a technology that requires life cycle management for onboarding and provisioning, and there are mostly non-headless devices, right? They don't have a screen. So this introduces a new way for automating provisioning using credential-based mechanisms and also using open roaming. Very interesting piece of work that can evolve across many IoT wireless access technologies. We are looking for trial opportunities. So if you work on IoT, this is definitely the time to engage. Okay, so these are 8 pieces of work that you can get access that were recently launched. Then new things. We have here a list of 11 initiatives that you can engage that started also this year. So we have the Access Network Metrics KOS work. We are doing a phase 2 of our AI/ML for Wi-Fi. We are also working on DLT, meaning we are trying to come up with a more clear way on how you can settle between providers of this kind of distributed ledger for roaming and tokens management, revocation, and redemption. Interesting work if you are into that area. MDU Smart Living and Technical Blueprint Phase 2. We are doing a quick start guide for pass points. The PQC already mentioned. We started a very interesting piece of work, I would say, for operators in the region, which is the prioritizing Wi-Fi calling. So in some situations, the clients might not be able to do this yet. So there was this need, if there is a certain KPIs, start with the Wi-Fi call first, because that improves kind of the user experience, the latency, and not the other way around. Then we have radius compliance, the Wi-Fi project I mentioned, the rig security, and we also started a very interesting project, which is Wi-Fi design standards, where we try to come up with a framework and a set of industry-agreed guidelines, deployment guidelines that can baseline the way Wi-Fi is deployed. It's a quite controversial topic in the industry. There is quite some momentum around the companies that are here trying to engage, and then we want to do it by vertical, right? So what are the kind of common agreed best practices, KPIs to deploy, to design and deploy Wi-Fi networks? But yeah, lots of exciting work. Very happy to engage with all of you and share more information as we go along. But things don't stop, right? And open roaming has been evolving quite rapidly. So my colleague Steve talked about our congress in Dallas. I just want to mention that we proved that 2 adjacent venues that were just separate from a few yards. We had open roaming working on both, and you could navigate from one venue to the other seamlessly. I'm thinking about PM WANI and the massification, the aspirational number that Arun just shared with us, the 50 million hotspots, and these will be quite pervasive, right? So you can move from one to the other, and this becomes so important that you have seamless continuity and a good experience. Some very relevant deployments on these last few months from the Inditex Group, Zara brand, universities. We have cities in the UK, Newcastle, Manchester, in Brazil, Mambo Wi-Fi, also doing deployments, shopping malls, retails, and then also Starbucks in India. So many stories that have been coming out. The numbers are also growing a lot. So we saw around 100% increase on the number of certificates issued. So more and more entities are building their ecosystems. The same with vendors. Pretty much today is difficult to find a vendor that has no open roaming support in the market. So you will have a solution likely from your vendor. But yeah, so time doesn't stop, and we are already starting our process for 2027, the call for projects. So if you are to submit an initiative, and if you have a good idea, a business problem, WBA runs this process annually. So it starts with the terms of reference, so everyone can participate and contribute. If you have a partnership and you are a member, you can engage with us, or we can help you also making bridges with our members to get this going. So the high-level timeline is that until September, we want to have all these proposals. So you have roughly, I would say 2 months, 1 month and a half to get this going. But I really invite you to bring your regional priorities so we can address them and move it forward. So with this, I would just like to share the big picture of our technical roadmap. So you will see some of the things we just launched here, some of the new projects. It's quite an intensive set of activities we have. So definitely there is something where you can engage and tap in with your knowledge, with your expertise. So this is the link to our online PMO booklet. So it's kind of a summary and the scope and the participants of these various initiatives. So take a moment to download it, take a look, and let us know where you want to start and where you would like to engage with the WBA. So with this, I will just pause here and thank everyone time, and I'll hand it over back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Bruno. Great presentation as well. So we have a few minutes left. Quick question for you, actually, Bruno. But if you look at those technical projects that the WBA is running now, which would you see would resonate the most for the APAC region?
Yeah, so Steve, I think that's a very important topic, the prioritization. So if I were to decide where to spend my time, if I'm to join the WBA, so countries in Asia, basically they have either, some highly advanced 5G deployments, and they are very dense in some countries. So QoS, real-time QoS, all these access network metrics work we are doing and bringing open roaming to close that gap between making the smartest decisions to steer their users between Wi-Fi and cellular would be my priority. So it's kind of CapEx optimization, more analytics, and eventually even more in new revenue opportunities. Then, Steve, if I think about members of WBA in the region, such as India and the Philippines, Indonesia, I would say that this kind of convergence between Wi-Fi and cellular and some of our rural work, even the new satellite project we are starting, can be very interesting to bridge this gap. So for me, probably those will be kind of the priorities for these countries and companies to engage.
Okay. Thank you, Bruno. Okay. So we have a minute. So just a few call to action. So the information that we shared today will appear on our website inside the next week. On our website, you will see a lot of the technical programs that Bruno has talked about as well as our events. So our hosted events, our webinars primarily, as well as our congresses as well. So please go to wbaalliance.com and you'll be able to find a lot of this information. Any questions, feel free to reach out. We would love to work with you moving forward as well. Okay. With that said, I would like to thank all of the panelists here today. So to Tiago, Aaron, Bruno, much appreciated for your time, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you, everybody.